It's the HoopWise Podcast from New England Basketball Journal. A comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
Happy holidays, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the HoopWise Podcast, part of New England Basketball Journal. Ethan Fuller, Steve Hewitt, producer David Diaz here. We're just here to talk some hoops because it's been a little bit since we had a check-in. Also hitting the end of the 2025 calendar year, so we'll do a little bit of reflection. Just here to talk some ball. Steve, how's it going? How have your holidays been?
Great, man. Nice to get a little break, even though, I mean, we say break, but for NEPSAC purposes, it's a break, but we're both going to some MIA tournaments and kind of getting our feet wet with that season during the break. But no, holidays have been good, low key as usual with the family, and getting some snow on the ground. It's officially winter now. So it makes driving to some of these tournaments a little more challenging, but we're gonna grind through it, right?
Yeah. Basketball side, I think I said it before on the podcast. I love winter and I love snow, and I'm not even sad when I have to scrape out my car as long as it's not super icy. But generally early, like first couple snows, I'll be in a good mood out there. So we're fired up.
I can do snow. Like I've probably said this before. It's exciting the first time, and then it starts to get old for me.
It's fair. Yeah. Especially when we have to drive as much as we do. So as we kind of mentioned, it's been, month and a half, maybe almost 2 months for you on the boys' side that we've been following prep specifically, and then MIA we're about a month in. It's been a lot of basketball. We've been all over the place. For us, especially, it's been a lot of these giant weekend showcases on the prep side that have taken up a lot of our focus. But there's a good amount to unpack. I think we each have a solid sense of the class by class prep landscape at this point. That being said, quite a lot has surprised us on both sides, which has been really fun. As Steve usually says, like that's one of the most exciting parts of a season is what we didn't see coming. And so we're going to go class by class. We'll alternate boys and girls through the prep scene and kind of how things look. AAA down to B small is probably where we'll get to. And then we'll hit on a little bit of MIA. We're going to do some year-end reflection because 2025 was a fantastic year on the basketball side. So we'll hit on some of that. Let's get going. We'll try and keep this rapid fire because we have a lot to get to. Should we just get right into it? Class AAA?
Yeah, let's do AAA boys and girls, and I think we're just gonna kind of alternate, and so we can each kind of take our breaths.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, let's start on the AAA boys side. Not a ton has surprised me. I think we went into the year, Newman kind of was my clear cut number one, and they've kind of held serve. What I didn't see coming was that Lucas Murillo would be out for the first month and a half with a wrist injury. But they were kind of just fine without him. They sit in I think it's 12-1 or 13-1 at the break. Their only loss coming to Blair at the Scholar Round Ball. They're just kind of continuing what they did last year. Quinn Costello has been excellent. He's continued his stock rising monster 2025, and believe he's their leading scorer. But so many different contributors for this team. I've been really impressed by Lewis O'Keefe, who has had to step in at point guard with Murillo out. Kid going to Princeton. I think Princeton's getting a steal. And Lewis O'Keefe just completely controls games, reliable on the ball, rarely makes mistakes, makes big plays. They did lose that game to Blair, but he was a big reason why they even had a chance late. They were down double digits, and they came back and made it a one possession game late. A lot of that actually had to do as well with Lucas Murillo making his return to that game. We're talking about a couple weeks ago. So reigning AAA player of the year. We've talked a ton about Lucas. I know he's your favorite player, Ethan, in NEPSAC boys basketball, dating back to last year.
Well, that's close, but he is awesome. Yeah.
But no, he's back, which is a scary thing, I think, for the rest of AAA. he's come off the bench, and I think it's 3 games he's been back. But I mean, we're starting to see him do Lucas things, facilitating, scoring, doing the things that we're used to seeing him doing. I think it was good for him to get his feet wet before the break and kind of get back into the swing of things, get his mojo back, shake off the rust a little bit. I think we're going to see him take another leap into the second half now that we know he's fully healthy, and probably get back in that starting lineup. So Newman's still my number one. They have not fallen from my number one spot all year. We'll see how that changes as we get into the meat of the AAA schedule. And then right behind them, New Hampton and Darrow have both impressed to start the year. New Hampton actually was up against Newman in the final game before break, before Newman kind of made a late surge to win that game in the NABL. So I think we talked in the preseason, a lot of kind of turnover from that New Hampton team, losing that three-headed monster, Tillery Blackwood and Nasmeyer. But they've kind of reloaded with some new faces. A couple of familiar names, Chad Cook, Jaden Harrington, have been excellent as seniors. So I'm not too surprised. Coach Andrew Gale does a tremendous job up there. I think they'll be right in the thick of it. They beat Cushing early this season. They've hung with Newman. I think they're going to be right in the mix. And then Darrow has been such an interesting story this year. They probably played the hardest schedule of anyone in NEPSAC. I'd be hard pressed to find a tougher schedule than they've played. They played Blair, they played Cushing, they played Newman, and they probably have the best win. Right before the break, they beat Putnam Science, the defending national prep champions. Honestly, did not see that coming, but that's NEPSAC basketball for you. New England for you. But Darrow started 1-8, but I never thought that their record was kind of indicative of how good they were. I've been high on them since before the season started. With the talent that they have, they've had to undergo some injuries, and Jameson Thrower, one of their top transfers, is out for the season. Yan Kamagetti, one of their promising big men, was actually dismissed from the program. A few different guys have missed time. TJ Allen's missed time. Walt Carty has missed time, but both of those guys are back and making big contributions. Jack Siders has kind of been Mr. Reliable for them. Hunter Teratana, their best player, going to Mercyhurst, has been better of late going into the break. He kind of had a slow start, but I think they've won 5 in a row, if I'm not mistaken, going into the break. They're 6-8, which obviously you look at the record and you can kind of interpret that the way you want, but this is a team that's going to be right in the mix in AAA, I believe, going down the stretch. They played really good basketball the last few weeks going into the break, so really impressed with those 3 in particular in AAA. And then we don't want to make this too long, but St. Thomas More, they're 11-3. I think their best basketball is still ahead of them. Vermont Academy has been really good too. I know they had that one minor slip up to St. Paul's, but they have one of the best backcourts in NEPSAC with Kamari White, Monica Kamara. They're going to be right in the thick of things, I think, as they continue to progress. So, but yeah, that's a quick look at AAA for the boys' side.
So on the girls' side, not a whole lot has surprised me. I guess biggest surprise has been the depth of AAA. I knew Tilton was good. They took care of business at the Nickerson Showcase. They're undefeated. They haven't been totally tested yet outside of a couple really good games against Nobles and Tabor, where Tilton got pushed by those 2 teams, but still won. Really impressed by the depth on that team. They have more rotation-ready players than even I expected, and I ranked them number 1. New Hampton's been really good. Their only losses to Nobles. HoopWise has been great, and I'm not surprised, as I have been hyping them up all fall and winter, and they have lived up to it. They beat Nobles at the Nickerson Showcase. Anna Moser just scored an Arizona offer in addition to Mississippi State. She's doing crazy stuff, and they're exactly what I kind of believed in. They're just really big and strong and fast and physical defensively around her. So HoopWise been really good. I would say like biggest surprise has been Dexter and Tilton and Newman with first-year head coaches are all just like way more competitive at the start of the season than I thought they would be. I thought it would be more of a process for all of them. Dexter Southfield is a great defensive team. They've really been able to play physical. Ella Pieper looks like the superstar that people have expected she would be as a sophomore, and they just have a lot of depth around them. And that even with Maeve Powers being hurt, they've still, like, Avery Boland's been really solid. Brooke Donnelly Gardner, always really solid. They have Juice Costin, just gives them a ton of energy at point guard. So that's been a fun group to watch. Tabor moves the ball extremely well. They have at least 4 different leading scorers, I think, in their games so far. They have a ton of shooting. Corinne Lomax has been the breakout hype train player of the winter. She just scored a Miami offer. So Tabor's done a really good
incredible in person.
Yes. Yeah, you saw the highlights. And that's been normal. Like, she just looks bigger, faster, stronger than everyone else. Some of the blocks are just volleyball spikes. They're crazy. And so she's been awesome. Molly Corcoran's been awesome. So credit to Lydia Caputi for the start there. They look like they're having a ton of fun moving the ball. Tammy Millsaps too. I'd want to shout her out by name at Dexter Southfield, has done a really good job. Then Katie Kolinsky and Newman, who I didn't rank and I only just ranked in the last week or so. They had played a lot of competitive losses, and that's great and all, but I wanted to see them turn it into a win. Morgan Jenkins is hurt, so they haven't had her, and they did. They got a huge win to Cap Nickerson against Dexter Southfield. Ayla Keefe, another breakout player who has really impressed me. Gabby Middleton had a huge weekend at Nickerson. Shannon Welburn's really fun to watch, just high energy guard. Hillary Simo, I believe is how you say her last name. She's a 6'4" center who obviously there's a ton of potential, but you're starting to see her process the game at a high level. So that's fun to see. So yeah, I think I didn't even really touch on Nobles has been great. Their guards are defending at an insane level, and that's why they've been able to play some of these top teams so close. So that's 7 out of 8 NEPSAC AAA schools that are in my top 10. So they've been really, really fun. And I really think now that Newman's done it, I think any of those teams can beat each other on a given night. So I'll be excited for this January, February slate for sure.
Even Tilton?
DVD, because Tilton, I believe they've only played 2 AAA games, and that is Nobles and Tabor. But Tabor was up most of that game on Tilton. Nobles was also up or with Tilton most of that game. I think Tilton won by 4 and 7 against Nobles and Tabor, respectively. I'm waiting for the HoopWise game. I don't think I'll be there, but I'll watch it. It's at HoopWise. That's January 17th.
Come on, make the drive.
If HoopWise wasn't that week, actually,
yeah,
I'll think about it. HoopWise would actually get me closer to HoopWise, but
that's true.
I'm not going to commit to a playoff, but I will be watching that game in some capacity. So that'll be really, really
fun. At some point we should make a trip to HoopWise, and no one, eventually I want to make a trip.
Yeah, no, I do too.
See what's out there.
Yeah,
it's like a mystery to me. Yeah,
we have to you got to really make a plan. But no, AAA has been really fun. I think I said at the start of the year it was Tilton, New Hampton, and HoopWise. I thought were in a tier of their own, and I think everyone's pretty even now, which is really fun. So
yeah,
definitely excited for that. And then I would say copy and paste what I just said about AAA to your boys AA, where everyone's beating everyone. Yeah. How do you? I guess Cushing aside, I feel like they're still the favorite, but how do you even hear the rest of this league right now?
Yeah, I don't know where to start. It's probably even better than I thought it was going to be. And a little tease to our follow-up episode to this is we had Jim McCarthy from Cheshire as a guest, and they've surprised me. I think they maybe even surprised themselves a little bit with how well they've played. We'll get to them in a second, but Cushing, as you said, I think they're still in a class by themselves in AA. They did have a close win over St. George's right before the break, and they were behind McDuffie, but they just put on a different. They just turn on a switch. It seems like sometimes and realize that they're better than everybody and just go on these crazy runs, and everyone can contribute. I will say we're recording this the day after they had a fantastic win at the Jordan Brand Holiday Classic in New York. They beat Blair, arguably the top prep team in the country, headlined by Deron Rippey Jr., the top point guard in the 2026 class, which is just a great win, however you want to describe it. I was told Ryan Mesh, Theo Adema, both were incredible. Brady O'Connell needs a shout out. One of my favorite players since we started this, just always such a reliable, solid player, one of the best defenders around. I guess he overcame the flu, or he was playing with the flu, a little bit of a flu game for Brady O'Connell at Cushing, and was a big reason why they shut down Deron Rippey Jr. So his coaches believe he's a scholarship level guard. He's probably in that tweener right now with this recruitment, D1 to D3, D2. So I'm fascinated to see where he ends up. Because he's going to, I think he would easily be an impact player in D3, D2, see if he can maybe find a spot in D1. As we know, that's harder and harder to find. But, Cushing is still the favorite for me. Might even need to, we'll see if there's a change in the top 10 after the break.
Pretty big win in the aggregate.
With that win over Blair, who beat Newman. So we'll think about that. We're going to sleep on that for a week or so. See how we feel. They do play each other at TD Garden in a couple weeks. So that was an electric game last year. I'm expecting nothing different this time around. But yeah, Cushing kind of in a class of their own right now for me. And then, I don't know where you go from there. I mentioned Cheshire. They're at number 5 in my overall NEPSAC power rankings. I think I told you this, but if you told me I was going to be doing that even a month ago before the AA season started,
yeah,
and I'd be putting Cheshire at number 5 in my power rankings. I'd call you some crazy word. I don't know. But they deserve it. Jim McCarthy's done an amazing job with kind of an influx of some transfers and some returners. Just like the most unique brand of basketball out there right now, just with the cutting. Like, they don't have like any insane high major D1 athletes or recruits, but they play so unselfishly. The cutting, the passing is just like, if you're a basketball purist, which I know you are, Ethan, you need to like try to find a way to watch Cheshire play this season, because it's just the off-ball movement, the cutting, the shooting, like I said, the passing. Everyone can pass, everyone can dribble and shoot on this team. There's no one like superstar. They just play team basketball. And it's just so much fun to watch. Aiden McGuire, John Spinoza, Justin Brown, James Colorello, all deserve shout outs. Christian Zarkiki, I'm going to mispronounce his name. Christian Zarkiki, did not miss from 3 at the St. Andrews Holiday Classic. He almost single-handedly brought them back against Lawrence Academy, which is their only loss of the season. I think he made 5 threes in the second half. It was just insane. And then the next day against Winchendon did the same thing. So Cheshire, they are not a fluke. They've beaten St. George's. They've beaten Winchendon. They've beaten KUA, all teams that I was really high on in the preseason. They do play Cushing, I think, in January. So definitely curious on that, how that goes. I think that'll be a fascinating kind of matchup of Cushing's defense against Cheshire's offense. If I'm not able to make that game, I'm going to try to catch a stream of that, because it's going to be fun to watch. And then from there, I mentioned Winchendon. They've been awesome, as I expected. Just deep, loaded guards, playmakers, just big athletic wings everywhere. And they're really good. St. George's, I think I wrote that I was a little surprised with how well they started the year, given, they just had a lot of turnover. I didn't know what to expect. I knew they had some returners back from last year's team that won the ISL championship. But if they they have impressed. Kenny Benedict has been great. Chance Finlayson, who I know you saw earlier this fall as a freshman. I think he's averaging double figures right now. I think he had like 17 against Cushing, something like that. He's really impressed as a freshman. He's a reclass freshman, but still his first NEPSAC basketball to do that. Impressive. McDuffie, I was high on in the preseason. They've been good. They've battled some injuries, but they're getting healthier. Johnny Bold, Patrick Sagna are both back and healthy and contributing at a high level. Keyshawn Joyner missed their last game against St. George's right before the break. That was at the St. Andrews Holiday Classic. But really impressed with just their competitiveness. And Elijah Avery Turner has been one of my favorite players to watch. Braden Harris, transfer from California, has been awesome. I think there's a lot of upside with McDuffie. Don't sleep on KUA. I dropped them. I think I had the number 7 in the preseason, and they had a few losses. I dropped them, but they're in the mix again. They had a strong finish to the first half, or the first month, whatever you want to call it, with wins over Wilbraham, Munson, and Lawrence Academy. Brandon Arnold is back and healthy. He had off-season shoulder surgery. He's made a world of difference. Hudson Scroggins has been really good transfer. So I think when it's all said and done, when we're entering March, I think they'll be right in the thick of it, maybe top 5, top 6, AA, KUA, Lawrence Academy, Albany Academy. Like, I don't have enough time to go through every AA team. Bremer May might have had one of the, has at least like a top 3 or 5 win of the season, beating Cats at the Zero Gravity Prep Classic. I was there courtside, got a little testy, but Bremer beat. That's a big win for Tom Nelson and his program to beat an EYBL team. Obviously, I know Cats was missing a few guys in that game, but still a really impressive job for Tom Nelson. That's a big program win for them, and they've been really strong. What else am I missing? Did I say Albany Academy? They're 5-2. Yeah, they're 5-2 in AA. They're one of the stories of the first portion of the season. With some of the wins, like I didn't know what to expect from them. I knew they had a lot of continuity coming back from the last 2 or 3 years, but really impressed. Just a lot of high IQ players. Jim Driggs, another former college assistant, and as we learned, college teammate of Jim McCarthy at Cheshire. Really good coach. Has been playing the right way and playing really, really well going into the break. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Basically all of them.
Like, there's going to Northfield Mount Herman. They've been good. I don't want to miss them. I think they're going to hit their stride going into the second half. They had a lot of new faces there, but they've been promising to start the year as well. Yeah, there's just I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. There's just not a night off in AA. I know Milton isn't off to an amazing start, but I mean, they still have Marcus O'Neill on the bench. Like, he's one of the best coaches in the history of NEPSAC. So it's like, pick your poison.
That playoff race is going to be brutal for cut out.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what that race looks like come March. So let's flip it to the girls. What do they match the boys on the double side? I'm not. How are you gonna know?
Not really. This is actually probably the least surprising class, which isn't a bad thing. It's been Darrow and Northfield Mount Herman at the top, as I kind of thought it would be early. Both teams really great defenses. They've played a lot of top teams close. Darrow lost by 5 to Dexter Southfield at Nickerson, and that was a great game. That was one of my favorite games of the weekend. Northfield Mount Herman has had a couple of individual crazy games, like their 21-point fourth quarter comeback against Austin Prep. That was wild. But they win good games with defense. Olivia Fleming is a really solid guard, great playmaker, great perimeter defender too. I don't think I've given her enough credit for how good she is defending the point of attack. So those two. And then a couple of teams have been hurt, like Katarina Ravosa has been hurt for Wilbraham and Munson. So they got off to a tough start, and they've kind of figured things out and have been winning since. They got a nice win at Nickerson. They went 1-2 there. When they get back, I would still consider Wilbraham and Munson one of the top teams in the class. Same with Worcester Academy. They only had 6 players at Nickerson, and that included missing their arguable top 3, especially Grayson Barnes, Elegats, Sadie Mesker being out. That is tough. But those players, I believe most of them at least, will be back fairly soon, if not right after the break. So they'll be healthy, and I expect them to be back in the mix. And then we haven't seen a lot of Austin prep against top teams outside of the Northfield Mount Herman game. I would like to see more because Fope IO is putting up ridiculous, like 30 and 20 games, which she did last year too. So she's the top prospect in the senior class, and I want to see her against some of these other top teams. So I will check out Austin Prep's schedule and try to get to a game pretty soon. And then like Marianapolis is pretty solid. That's kind of AA. Bremer and May is a really, really young team, but they gave Northfield Mount Herman a good game at the Girls Hoop Series. I think they changed the name to Tip Off Classic. That was at Milton Academy. So that's kind of AA. It's gone about the way I thought, but I think Darrow and Northfield Mount Herman are two great teams. They're both in the top 10. Wilbraham and Munson snuck back into the top 10 too, even without Ravosa. So I think it'll be a good race, at least between those 3.
Yeah. When is Ravosa expected back soon?
Not super soon. I believe this season. It might be like a late January, start of February timeline.
Okay.
Still a little bit
acquisition.
Deadline. Yeah, which would be big. And they've done a pretty good job of adapting without her. Like they have a center, Addison Brennan, who's a sophomore. She's one of the best 2028s in this class or this region, I would say. And she's gotten a lot better in these games that have gone on. They've found some guard help that's been good. Olivia Macklin's a freshman. She's been good. So they're figuring it out, which will be helpful when Ravosa comes back. They'll have other options too.
Yeah.
So that's, pretty much double.
I guess we'll keep it moving to class A, which on the boys' side, I may have buried the lead here. I think this might be even more wide open than AA. Yeah. I shouldn't say I don't think wide open might be the wrong term for AA. Just like in terms of depth, it's probably rivals in depth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think maybe I fully realized just like how many good teams are in Class A. There are going to be like 5 teams in Class A that don't make the playoffs that are like really good teams.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through the list. I'm like, all these teams are good. We need to make like a 16 team playoff just for this season because I think that would be electric. But I'll start Class A with Nobles, 8-0. Lambros, Papa Lambros doing work.
That's huge.
Lambros have them. Young roster, but they play well together. Jack Chartraflin from the transfer from Winchester, I've written about him a bunch of times already. One of the best point guards I've seen in regards to class. High feel for the game. He's been incredible to start the season. But Jack Mullins, Zach Baum, Raul Cruz, bunch of returners from that team. And we had Lambros on the show earlier this year, and I know there were a lot of kind of learning lessons from his first season on the job, but they've been rolling, man. I'm excited. I think they played Thayer their first game out to break. I think I'm going to try to cover that game. I think it's on January 10th. Another team, Thayer, that's also been really good to start the year with another young roster and a first-year coach, and Evan Carlson doing a great job over there. But go down the line, man. Phillips Andover, also undefeated, 5-0, wins over Northfield Mount Herman. That was convincing at the Prep Classic. Was not expecting that. They beat the Hill School at Skull Roundball, which is an out-of-region team, but also always a really good opponent. They beat Rivers. Coach Terrell Ivory, really talented roster, maybe one of the most talented rosters they've had. Another team like Cheshire, didn't really see coming. But I think they're firmly in the Class A championship conversation right now with the level of talent that they have and what they've been able to do already. Jabari Edmonds back from injury. He's playing at a high level. They have this transfer from Atlanta, I think. His name is Miles Clanton, who is like a matchup nightmare.
Wow.
It's like this thick. He's like, I need to find this dunk that he had at the skull around ball. He like took a rebound. He's like this big bodied, like 6'5" kid who can like do everything. You wouldn't expect him to be able to jump out of the gym, but like he like had this ridiculous like defensive rebound and took it coast to coast, did a spin move in the lane, and like one-handed like poster dunk over this kid. I forget who they're playing. It might have been the Hill School at Skull Around Ball. And like everyone in the gym was like, whoa, we were not expecting to see that from this kid. But he's been amazing. He can play inside out. He can shoot it. He can take you off the dribble. He's tough inside, makes plays at the rim through traffic. Like, he's really good. He's a name people need to be watching out for the last 2 months. Nick Haley has been good for them. Yeah, Phillips Andover, legit. Milton Academy, who was my preseason pick in Class A, they look as good as I thought they would. Devin Williams, I don't know how he's not. I mean, I think I know why Division I, like, it's just so hard to get a D1 scholarship, but like I can see him playing in like the Patriot League, one of those lower major, like a Northeastern or like a BU kind of place. High academic kid, just makes winning plays all the time. He has been really good to start the year as I expect. He was a leading scorer last year, and he's just kind of picked up where he left off. But yeah, I mean, I don't have enough time for Class A, but Tabor, Dexter Southfield, Malik Adamson's been amazing to start the year. I mentioned Thayer, BB&M, Hotchkiss, St. Paul's beat Vermont Academy.
I remember we were stunned. Yeah, stunned by that.
They're good. They're still probably asleep, right? I'm probably not giving them their due enough right now. Phillips Exeter has a young team, but they're kind of learning. Sutfield, Wollaston, don't want to make a mistake of Wollaston again like last year, but they're good. Again, there's going to be multiple teams from this class that would make noise in the playoffs, but they might not make it just because there needs to be 8 teams to make the playoffs. So really excited about Class A, and the last 2 months is going to be a fascinating couple of months to watch in that class. And it looks like it's just as wide open on the girls' side, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is wide open. It's been a little confusing, honestly. Loomis Chafee, 4-time reigning champions, they have gotten off to kind of a slow start. It looks like it's going to be a little bit more of a process just because of the amount of roster turnover was huge. So they've stumbled a little bit in some games. They weren't super great at Nickerson, but they ended with a big overtime win against Marianapolis. That'll be a good confidence boost for them. And they still have talent, like Izzy Cruz, point guard, really solid shooter, Dartmouth commit, Lauren Wright, American commit, Leah McKenzie, who's a wing I really like to watch play. She's got a couple Division I offers. So they're kind of figuring things out. If I had a favorite right now, it's probably Sacred Heart. They've also struggled with some injuries. Luciana Parada was hurt for Nickerson and didn't play. Eva Wilkerson, I forget if it was a concussion or some type of head injury. She had to miss one game, but then came back. Didn't really matter because they had to play Tilton, unfortunately, for them. But Sacred Heart's good. They dropped that game without Eva Wilkerson against Kimball Union, but they won an earlier game at Choate, and Choate's pretty solid too. So Addie Sipkin, freshman point guard at Sacred Heart too. I would definitely start to get on the bandwagon a little bit with her. She looked really, really good at Nickerson. So I would consider Sacred Heart the front runner, but then it's kind of murky. Like pulled up the list. Like Kent is solid, but they just like have a small roster, like numbers wise. So I don't know how much that'll hold up for a full season. Taft is pretty solid. They have Maddie Little, who's a Longwood commit. Then Thayer's always pretty good. Milton Academy, I would probably put them as maybe the second best team in Class A right now. They did beat Loomis, Traffy at Nickerson, which is a huge win for that program. They're still a really young roster, but they're making a lot of positive strides. I like their guards. Brooke Reddix, too, is a freshman kind of wing who was defending post players in this, and he handled those battles pretty well. But then, yeah, it's a really strange class. Like Phillips Exeter has she's got to be a post grad who decommitted from Central Arkansas, who I watched at Milton Academy. They played Wheeler and won that game, and she was really interesting. So Phillips Exeter, I would kind of keep around in that mix. Chode I mentioned. Phillips Andover is pretty good. So it's a really strange class. And I think outside of Sacred Heart, honestly, I don't know if I don't feel confident in a lot of teams right now, which doesn't, like, it's early. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. It just, as an outsider who's trying to make predictions, it makes me confused. But as someone who likes parity and wants intrigue in a playoff race, Class A will be really interesting.
Yeah. Well, unpredictability all over the place. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah. No. And like, these are both, I imagine it's true for the boys too. Like, these are the two of the largest classes in NEPSAC. So races get kind of crazy. And then, we can bring this home with the Class Bs. We can kind of package them together. What have you noticed generally with B large? And I don't know if there's a B small school who's caught your eye too, but I know the B large race was going to be interesting. I remember talking about that at the start of the year. So what have you noticed?
Yeah. Both of my preseason picks look good so far. I will say that. I'll start with that.
We like
St. Mark's, I like what I've seen from them. They gave St. Andrews a really good test at the Prep Classic. But the three-headed mix of Alex Echevarria, Luca Palermo, and CJ Farrell has been kind of as advertised. I know Echevarria had a little bit of an injury, but he's back. CJ Farrell also had like an not off season, but he suffered an injury during football season. Didn't know he was actually like a Division I caliber like wide receiver. Is what they're saying. Like, he's just like, he might like be the best like football player in the state or something. I don't know. I'd have to look at the highlights, but that kid is an insane athlete. You might not look at when you see him on the basketball court. He's not huge or super physically opposing, but like just gets it done. But no, St. Mark's still, I like them the most, I think, in Class B large. Holderness, Class B small. They've had a really good start to the year too. They beat Rivers at Scholar Roundball. I saw them blow out Newman's prep team back early in November. Again, I think I've mentioned it before, but just really like their mix of the point guard Javion Cruz and Andre Langley, Finn Brennan. Just a really talented team that I think is I still think personally they're the favorite or one of the favorites in Class B small. Rivers, let's talk about Rivers. Death taxes and Rivers winning their home holiday tournament.
Yeah.
Straight year. Really they deserve credit just for, like, we know how much talent they lost from last season's team. Ryan Altman, Andre Alexenko, Robbie Fiore, all off significant turnover. Patrick Costello is their lone returning starter. A lot of guys in new roles, a lot of transfers coming in, but they really like where they're at. They beat Brooks again in the holiday tournament championship. It's kind of becoming an annual tradition. No offense to Brooks. Maybe they'll see him again in the playoffs in March.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep rewriting the same story every year. But no, Rivers deserve a lot of credit just for, the program that they've kind of built with just year in and year out, always competing at a high level. Kind of Okafor, the transfer from Cock Academies, coming into his own. Jab Millward was the MVP of the holiday tournament. So a lot of good things happening again at Rivers this season. And then Austin Prep has impressed me. They got this kid, William Nunez, and I think he's a 2028. He just joined Mass Rivals over the weekend. Really good shooter, can take you out the dribble, kind of long. He's a name people should be keeping an eye on in the next few years in the 28 class. I really liked him at Scholar Round Ball. He was a big reason why they were successful there. Who else? Millbrook. And he deserves some love. They were the number 1 seed in Class B last year. They obviously lost a lot from that team, including they have a new head coach, and Gardner McAllister took over for Billy Tom and stepped down. They're doing a great job. They're 7-3 at the break, 3-0 against Class B. That includes a win over St. Mark's. But they're in Class B small, so like maybe I overlooked them too in the preseason part of the journey here. But Millbrook should be on the radar in Class B for sure. And then other than that, Canterbury's look good too. Yeah, my big goal for the second half is to watch a little more Class B. It's just so hard, obviously, to see everything. But those are some of the teams that have caught my eye to start the year, and I'm sure there'll be more. Frederick Gunn, they deserve some praise too. Good start for them as well. Jarees. But yeah, it's a lot of depth in Class B, large and small, as I'm sure you can test on the girls' side.
Yeah, no, it's similar. Class B, I thought was going to get a little more predictable this year, and it has not been that way, which has been really fun. But I am so bummed at Nickerson. The only team that I did not get to see like a single second of was Govs, and they won both their games. They beat Kent while I was watching, I think it was New Hampshire, Northfield, Mount Herman. And then I watched Hamden Hall, we'll get to them in a sec, beat Newman, Class AAA in overtime. At the same time, Governors made an insane comeback. I think they trailed 24-2 against Berkshire, who was my Class B title pick. I had them in the top 10 at the time. Governors came back and won that game, which is insane. They're undefeated. I think they're all of like 4 or 5 NEPSAC girls teams that are undefeated left. So that's my research project, is learning a little bit about Govs, because they are right in the B large mix. Suffield too have still been very good. They haven't been tested a whole lot. Their schedule's been pretty easy, but they've rolled through a lot of their teams. I'm still a Berkshire believer, even though this was kind of a tough Nickerson weekend for them. They blew another game against St. George's, who I would also put in the Class B title mix. St. George's has done a good job against with Maddie Bledsoe, excuse me. First-year head coach Jonna Nichols is getting buckets for them. So player of the year contender when we think about those awards. Brooks, as I will now mention, beat Hamden Hall the next day in overtime. So would keep Brooks in that conversation. Greens Farms is also pretty good. Class B. So it's Class B. That was all B large. Excuse me. That was B large. B large is all over the place. B small. It's kind of become a 3-horse race. Hamden Hall, I very nearly was going to rank after that Newman win, and then they lost to Brooks in overtime the next day. But Maddie Bonini, who's come in as a transfer, has been one of my personal breakout players of the season in NEPSAC. She's just been unreal. Hard-charging driving point guard, fantastic pull-up shooter, which I didn't really know. Just defends with energy and keeps her foot on the gas for the entire game. Hamden Hall also beat Kimball Union earlier in the year, I believe, but I like Kimball Union still, especially after they kind of routed Sacred Heart, who I talked about in Class A. So I think it's those two schools in B small, and then Ethel Walker, also undefeated, has kind of come out of nowhere to me after missing the playoffs last year. They beat Loomis Chafee. They are also undefeated. They have Liana Solomon, who's the star guard for them. So B small's become kind of a 3-horse race. I would keep Holderness hanging around there too. So it's been interesting. B large, no idea what to do with. B small, the top tier is really fun. And just even the fact that like a B small team can win in a neutral site against a AAA team tells you about how good some of these teams are quietly down in like Class B, large and small. Like there's some really, really good teams and quite a few Division I players in B small that people should watch because it's really fun.
Yeah.
And then it kind of wraps up the Class Bs. I guess to finish off this year talk, if you gave me like, I don't know, 2 or 3 like serious breakout players for you, who would they be that you've been like blown away watching?
He's not. Okay, so I'll start. I do have a list, but I'll keep it short. This isn't really a breakout player, but Alex Iguodala we talked about him a million times. He's just like taking his game to an insane level. I saw him at the St. Andrews Holiday Classic score 46 points. That was 2 nights after he scored 43.
Dang.
And obviously we know he's going to Marquette. Athletics mismatch nightmare. He's really honed in on the three. He hit 10 3-pointers in that win against it was against Cheshire at St. Andrews for the 46 points. One of the most insane shooting displays I've seen in NEPSAC since we started this job. He was hitting stupid shots like anyone else in the world or anyone else in NEPSAC. Like these would be bad shots, but he was just like heat check. There were like 3 different heat checks in this game. It was just like, okay. And they were just going in. He was just on that kind of role. And that's been a big key for him is becoming a better 3-point shooter. As he knows, that's going to help him get on the floor next year at Marquette. So Alex Iguodala just keeps doing his thing. That's one of my biggest takeaways in the first portion of the season. And then real quick, Quinn Gibson from Winchendon, who I didn't know anything about going into this year, has been a machine. Just like the highest motor you can find of anybody. Alex Pope, the head coach, said he's the best competitor he's coached since Bruce Brown when he was at Vermont Academy. So that's insane praise. He is definitely on the D1 radar. I don't think he has a scholarship offer yet, but I believe that should come at some point. And then I'm split between a few. I'll just quickly mention Braden Harris McDuffie, one of the best shot makers I've seen this season. He finally got a D1 offer at UC Riverside. Jack Loritis, Albany Academy. I saw him score 49 points against Bremer a few weekends ago. Yale is getting a steal with him, I think. And then LaDainian Payne at Bremer has continued to kind of take his game to the next level. Huge development year, 2025 for him. I think he's elevated his stock to at least like mid-major with the way he's been playing. So yeah, that's my quick list.
Yeah, that's a good one. LaDainian Payne, again, like you mentioned with the win over Cats too. Like that's really fun.
That game. Yeah.
My list. A lot of these players I kind of mentioned already. Corinne Lomax, I basically said everything I needed to say already about her, but she's been just truly ridiculous. I imagine once we get into like ranking season in the summer with AU and everything, she's going to start appearing on some rankings because she's insane. Ayla Keefe at Newman is someone who I was not, I think, a little more lukewarm on, honestly, like going into the fall and even through the first couple of games, but she processes the game at a really high level. Is a lot stronger physically than I realized she was. Like she's capable of driving and finishing through contact. Really good making decisions out of drives with kicking out to the perimeter and stuff. She's defended Ella Peeper twice now and at least like made Peeper work for a lot of the buckets that she's been able to get. So Ayla Keefe, I've really appreciated a lot at Newman. Maddie Bonini, I would say at Hampton Hall too, is like right up there. Izzy Kittredge, has done a great job transferring into Nobles, pretty immediately becoming a go-to player for them. And then last player who I have not watched in person, but the numbers are ridiculous, is Carolyn Jew at King. And King's been kind of up and down. Yeah. She dropped 50 against was it Masters? I think it was Masters. And she had 37 in another game. She averaged 22 at the Kingswood Oxford tournament. So, and she's only a sophomore, 2028 class. I watched her a little bit in AAU, and that's obviously a totally different setting, but I'm gonna have to check in on Carolyn Jew because she is going absolutely ridiculous down in Class B small. So those are my early breakout. What?
As a buy stock now, Carolyn Jew.
Yeah. Like, man, she's going crazy, so I will check it out. And then I think that'll cap this season portion of our episode. Then we get to, I'd say in the last couple minutes here, we want to do a little bit of a reflection on 2025 and the calendar year. Again, we're spanning 2 different scholastic seasons here in AAU, but there's a lot to reflect on. We went to some really, really cool games. I'll start with you, like very kind of quick, rapid fire favorite games and moments from 2025.
Yeah, we'll make this speed this up. But first one, Franklin winning the D1 state championship after kind of years of knocking on the door. That was a fun story to cover. That meant a lot to that community, who had experienced a lot of kind of loss, and it was just obviously a very uplifting moment. Caden Sullivan, you saw insane performances throughout March. That was one of my favorite stories, and obviously the championship game itself was insane. Back and forth, fourth quarter against Newton North with Tegan Swin. That'll be a game I remember for a long time. Newman beating New Hampton in overtime in the AAA championship will maybe be the craziest game I saw all year. Newman was up like 15-20, I forget the exact number. New Hampton made this insane comeback over the final 3 minutes, forced to overtime. Newman prevailed. I think it was like 107-100. Just a crazy basketball game. And then Worcester Academy beating Cats also that day in the double. I got treated that day for 2 incredible championship games. And Amir Jenkins emerging as the MVP. Third title in 4 years for Worcester Academy, who didn't look like they were championship contenders maybe in like mid-February of last season, but they kind of put it all together. They won twice on the road, that playoff run, including at Cushing. So just incredible resolve and resilience from that team. That was a fun story to cover. Those are 3 of my favorites. I know you have quite a few as well.
Yeah, honestly, I have 2 that just like stick way out above the rest, and that are, I'm very fortunate. The NEPSAC AAA championship game between Tilton and Nobles, and Tilton, it was kind of an upset, I would say. Tilton upsetting Nobles, Tilton leading most of that game, but just fending off run after run after run from Nobles, and then Brooke Golden hitting the game winner with 1 second left. That's like,
that was awesome.
People dream about. Yeah, that was incredible. And then back in that right up, somehow we got a even better game 1 week later, the MIA Division I championship game between Wachusett and Bishop Fee, one of the best basketball games I've ever watched in my life. It was incredible. Jalen Scott layup with 3 seconds left, and that alone overshadows what was just like an incredible display of shot making from both of those teams. That was like just high level basketball all around. And to get those 2 kind of elite teams, or those 4 elite teams in 2 games in the span of a week, both going down to the wire, both just like elite programs executing, pretty cool. I don't know how 2026 is going to top those 2 games. So yeah, we'll see.
No. If we have enough time here, what are a few things you're looking forward to in 2026? What are you kind of keeping in?
Well,
what things are you kind of looking forward to seeing?
I'm excited to see a potential matchup between Medfield and Wachusett at the Comcast Classic. It's not guaranteed. Both teams got to win to get there, but that I'm really excited about, given some recent results that I will have to write about more in the MIA world. I'm excited to see some of the 2027 breakout star trio and where they end up going to school. So Anna Moser, Corinne Lomax, and then Bella Wumi especially. She will be the only player that I have covered every single year since I first started covering high school basketball in 2020-21, because I remember writing a line about how she scored her first points as a 6th grader at St. Mary's. And so this is like the end of a very, very long journey when she finally commits to school and she can kind of take her pick. So I'm excited for that. I think you wrote this down too, but AJ DeBonsa being drafted will be a massive storyline that we'll both be following, and everyone else in New England. So those are kind of the big ones off the top of my head. All right. So that kind of does it. A lot to catch up on with the prep world so far this season. And I'm glad we got to briefly kind of think about 2025. We're really excited for everything that's going to come in 2026. It's going to be a lot. So yeah, for producer David Yaz, for Steve Hewitt, I'm Ethan Fuller. We will see you in the new year.